Center for Clean Water, ICCW. ICCW is a place to ideate, nurture, and translate disruptive technologies for sustainable clean water. The sprawling 21,000 square feet facility is located at the IIT Madras Research Park and is the brainchild of Professor T. Pradeep of IIT Madras, a Padma Shri 2020 awardee by the Government of India. With over a decade of proven experience in tackling water contamination issues with homegrown nanomaterials, the need for a comprehensive center for water that caters to the world was visualized. With initial funding and support provided by H.T. Parekh Foundation, the center was inaugurated on April 22nd, 2019. ICCW will help anyone to translate a worthy idea on clean water to a viable technology. The incubation ecosystem of IITM will work in tandem with the intellectual and material resources of the institution to enable this translation. ICCW has highly trained and talented people, houses some of the world's most sophisticated and modern equipment, and is open to stakeholders from all over the world. ICCW has 7 state-of-the-art laboratories, an incubation hub for startups, a pilot production facility, and access to expertise of the ICCW team, IITM faculty, and our worldwide collaborators. Companies in the water sector are invited to join our consortium for speedy product development and technology validation. IP sharing and startup support is also available. ICCW consults on water management studies and implements water-saving solutions in partnership with emerging and eco-friendly technologies. Solutions are available for fluoride, arsenic, and iron removal, TDS reduction, and atmospheric water harvesting. ICCW implements these technologies through CSR funds with a 5-year maintenance option. It conducts workshops and interactive sessions involving all stakeholders on topics of relevance to clean water, such as RO reject management, rainwater harvesting, grey water management, low-cost sensors, etc. ICCW works as a medium to link clean water research to the global community. ICCW is a non-profit entity registered as a society under the governance of IIT Madras. It exists to serve the world and its inhabitants. It needs the participation of corporate houses and philanthropic organizations in projects that will make the world water secure. Contributions can be made through IIT Madras, which come with a 100% tax exemption. These contributions will make a lasting impact on the society. Availability of fresh water determines the future of nations. Every part of the world has specific issues limiting the access to safe water. Advanced research is essential to ensure water security. Born out of this need is the International Center for Clean Water, ICCW. ICCW is a place to ideate, nurture, and translate disruptive technologies for sustainable clean water. The sprawling 21,000 square feet facility is located at the IIT Madras Research Park and is the brainchild of Professor T. Pradeep of IIT Madras, a Padma Shri 2020 awardee by the Government of India. With over a decade of proven experience in tackling water contamination issues with homegrown nanomaterials, the need for a comprehensive center for water that caters to the world was visualized. With initial funding and support provided by H.T. Parekh Foundation, the center was inaugurated on April 22nd, 2019. ICCW will help anyone to translate a worthy idea on clean water to a viable technology. The incubation ecosystem of IITM will work in tandem with the intellectual and material resources of the institution to enable this translation. ICCW has highly trained and talented people, houses some of the world's most sophisticated and modern equipment, and is open to stakeholders from all over the world. ICCW has 7 state-of-the-art laboratories, an incubation hub for startups, a pilot production facility, and access to expertise of the ICCW team, IITM faculty, and our worldwide collaborators. Companies in the water sector are invited to join our consortium for speedy product development and technology validation. IP sharing and startup support is also available. ICCW consults on water management studies and implements water-saving solutions in partnership with emerging and eco-friendly technologies. Solutions are available for fluoride, arsenic, and iron removal, TDS reduction, and atmospheric water harvesting. ICCW implements these technologies through CSR funds with a 5-year maintenance option. It conducts workshops and interactive sessions involving all stakeholders on topics of relevance to clean water, such as RO reject management, rainwater harvesting, grey water management, low-cost sensors, etc. ICCW works as a medium to link clean water research to the global community. ICCW is a non-profit entity registered as a society under the governance of IIT Madras. It exists to serve the world and its inhabitants. It needs the participation of corporate houses and philanthropic organizations in projects that will make the world water secure. Contributions can be made through IIT Madras, which come with 100% tax exemption. These contributions will make a lasting impact on the society.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning. This is Shripati from ICCW. I have the pleasure once again to welcome you all to the webinar series on rainwater harvesting. At this moment, we have around 245 getting registered and entering into this webinar series as participants. Already we have started getting some questions also, and we have today with us the rain man of Chennai, Shri Shekhar Raghavan with us, who is the director of the Rain Center in Chennai. So before Mr. Shekhar Raghavan makes his presentation, I would request Professor Pradeep to share his inaugural remarks for this day's session on rainwater harvesting. Over to you, Professor.
Thank you, Mr. Shripati. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. It's indeed a pleasure to welcome you to this fourth edition of this lecture series, and that is given by the Rain Man of Chennai. What a pleasure to welcome a person who has transformed from theoretical physics to this world of water. We will be hearing more about him later on. In the past few days, we have been discussing various aspects of rainwater harvesting. We saw that it is indeed quite feasible to implement rainwater harvesting in urban environment. That was the first lecture. We saw that it was possible with community participation to bring dry villages back to their normal life. We saw that it was possible to extend such experiences to several districts in a dry land of Rajasthan. That was the second lecture. The third lecture, we saw that rainwater harvesting is indeed a viable business, and it is indeed possible to implement it in tens and thousands and lakhs and million scale. So what stops us? Obviously, that question may be lingering in the minds of many of you. If you start looking at the issue of rainwater harvesting, you are not only harvesting for you, you harvest for your neighbor. You harvest for the community. You harvest for the country and world at large. Somehow, collective involvement of this kind for larger social good seemingly is a difficult proposition for many. Yesterday's speaker was telling us that people were willing to pay fines rather than implementing rainwater harvesting measures in their dwellings. What would have been the reason? I feel that rainwater harvesting is facing a challenge, not because rainwater is not precious, but because of three things, I feel. One is strong awareness, understanding that water is a closed cycle. You and I don't produce water, we only recycle. This understanding has to come from information, and that is what we are trying to provide. However, information alone will not be enough. There is a need for strong legislation. We are coming to that tomorrow. And there is a need for strong enforcement. Coupled with these, it is indeed possible that every drop of rain can be saved. But look at the possibilities, what it provides. I was just looking at the numbers, what rainwater harvesting can possibly do. I was just taking the southernmost state of Kerala, of India, Kerala. 941 panchayats. And there are over 1 crore houses. Of these, 48.6 lakh houses have concrete roof. Most of the houses in Kerala have roof area more than 1,000 square feet. 1,000 square foot, yesterday 1,000 square feet rainwater harvesting, the number was suggested to be 15,000 rupees. So we are talking about rainwater harvesting business potential of 7,500 crores just from that. Just multiply the numbers. Now, the impact this gives you, of course, I also computed that it is several times larger than this investment, of course, as we have seen. So what would be preventing this? Many social good, socially relevant activities which are socially good, they don't hit the ground because of multiple issues. Today probably is not the time to illustrate all of them, but you need to think about what would be the potentially issues which are against implementing proliferating rainwater harvesting across the country. We need to also address those challenges. One way that we can address this is to ensure that the entire society gets benefited. I was thinking that rainwater harvesting in the state of Kerala could be a movement by which those who are returning from the Middle East could be re-employed. And the potential of that employment is something like 20,000 people. And this is indeed a viable business proposal. In fact, such things are possible across the country. From all of these, it is quite clear that if one is in a position to engage with the community and ensure that they all get benefited from this socially good activity, rainwater harvesting can become a success. I look forward to this presentation of a person who has put in his entire life into this activity. I'm sure that all of you will be enriched by this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor, for the short insights on to the importance of rainwater harvesting. We have been hearing from several speakers and the efforts that we need to do still for doing something for this country. Probably we can take examples from Mr. Shekhar Raghavan to take it forward and try practicing it across all the states in the country. You mentioned about Kerala. Already he has done it in Tamil Nadu. Probably the other states also have been doing it, but we need to learn from Mr. Shekhar Raghavan on his experiences so far in the last 40, 50 years in staying in Chennai. So I don't want to take much time. I would request Mr. Shekhar Raghavan to start his presentation, and let's take up some questions at the end of the session at around 5:45. Mr. Shekhar Raghavan, please.
Good evening to all of you. Shall I switch on my share screen?
Yes, please.
We are seeing your screen, sir.
Yeah, I'm just seeing Zoom.
Yeah, you need to open your PPT.
You have to go to the PowerPoint.
PowerPoint. Yeah.
Yeah, I opened it.
But you have
And
to
make it full screen.
Then go to slideshows.
Yes, sir.
Is it visible to everyone?
Yeah, we are seeing your PowerPoint.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Can I start? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Before I go on with my formal presentation, I would like to say a few things. Incidentally, I would like to thank Professor Pradeep for those nice words. Incidentally, my son was your student, sir. His name was Ashok Shekhar.
Oh,
He passed out in 2005.
very nice.
So he is now in Indian Institute of Science with the molecular biophysics unit.
Great
He
to
went
hear
to
that.
Madison. Pardon? Next. Yeah. So people may wonder whether there is a need for a 5 days webinar on rainwater harvesting. Of course, there is. What has been done in India to harvest rain in the last 5,000 years requires at least a 5-day webinar. It's not even a 5-day webinar, it's a 5-hour webinar. It's certainly not enough. Similarly, my involvement in rainwater harvesting is close to 25 years. I started door-to-door campaign in 1995 in Besant Nagar, Chennai. And whatever we have achieved in the last 25 years, it's going to be difficult to summarize the whole thing in, I thought it was 45 minutes, but then Sripati said 30 minutes. Then I need some more time. So you should grant me some more time. I will not, yeah. And regarding awareness, as Professor Pradeep was rightly saying, even after 25 years of intense campaigning, large majority of people have still not understood the need for rainwater harvesting. When most people talk of rainwater harvesting, they mean collecting rainwater in a plastic/masonry tank for immediate use. Hence, they think rainwater harvesting is an alternate source. We fail to think that all water that we see around us must have come from rain. And rainwater harvesting is certainly not an alternative. It's not even an option. And collecting rainwater for use is just one aspect of rainwater harvesting. Groundwater recharge is the other aspect. And that is equally or even more important since our dependence on groundwater is quite high. I will now, with these few remarks, I will just go on with my formal presentation. We have a website called raincenter.net. Which will have some information about what we have been doing in the last 25 years. Yeah, this is the location of our rain center. This is in a place called Gandhinagar, Adyar. And this is a one-stop information and assistance center for rainwater harvesting. And I'm very happy to tell you that this was the first rain center in the entire country and was set up in Chennai. Was inaugurated by our late Chief Minister Jayalalitha in August 2002. In fact, I would like to say a few words about her. She was extremely passionate about rainwater harvesting. If only such political will can come in, every state in India will be able to achieve whatever we have been able to in the last 20 years. She was so passionate about harvesting. This is the location. This is Gandhinagar, Adyar, Chennai 20. Yeah. Our activities are, the most important activity of ours is awareness raising. And we focus on this And the next thing is help people to implement harvesting in their respective homes. We help them to design a suitable harvesting system for their homes. And then we have a team to also get it implemented. But that is not obligatory. We'll give a quote, and these two are done free of charge. We don't charge anything for our services. Actually, if you want to get it done, you'll have to spend some money. And we have carry out periodic surveys and studies. Some school children. These are posters inside the rain center. We have a working model to show people where it rains and how it comes down and how it can be harvested. Let me say a few words about what is happening in all our cities. The problem almost all the cities in India face the dual problem of floods during monsoon. I'm sure in another few days you'll start seeing these photographs in almost all the newspapers. Now that the southwest monsoon has set in, and we have drought during summer months. So this is what we see during summer months. If you carefully analyze the reasons for both floods and drought, floods are essentially caused by shrinking of open spaces in cities. Chennai used to have a lot of water bodies, ponds and lakes. I can quote several examples. One important example is the Valluvar Kotam, which is a memorial for Thiruvallur. And there's an Nageshwara Park in Mylapore, which used to be a pond, and so on. So what we do is we simply fill it up with garbage and then construct a building, either a college or a bus stop. And another reason for floods is indiscriminate paving that all of us are fond of. We want to pave inside our house. The corporation wants to pave the roads from end to end, not allowing rainwater to percolate into the soil. That is why our cities get more and more flooded. See, this kind of flooding was not there 40 years back or 50 years back when I was a small boy. Flooding is slowly increased in Chennai. And if you come to drought, the most important reason is overexploitation of water sources. The demand keeps going up while the supply remains the same. Supply comes only from rain. And the attitude of urbanites, indifferent attitude, and a lack of awareness regarding rainwater harvesting to sustain groundwater. The only answer to both these problems is rainwater harvesting. See, now harvesting is being talked about so much than ever before. Why is that? See, about 200 years back, if you look back, the kings and rulers created water bodies, right? Harvested rain in them. And there were also community wells on roads. Even now, you can see some of them when you go to Virugambakam and such places. You'll see a well on the road. I used to wonder, why is there a well on the road? So these must have been the community wells that the kings probably created. So people will go there, fetch water, come back and use it. This was what was happening about 200 years back. What happened in the last 100 years? We started buying a plot of land. We started constructing houses. And then we created a groundwater source, either in the form of an open well or a bore well. And therefore, the responsibility of sustaining groundwater source shifted from kings and rulers to individuals. That is why it is now, harvesting is now everybody's business. And now it has gone one step further. So nobody buys a plot of land, nobody constructs a house. We go to a builder and say, give me an apartment. right? A 2 BHK or a 3 BHK. And therefore, it's the builder who buys the plot of land. It's the builder who constructs the apartments and creates a borewell, deep borewell. And the first thing a builder does is to close the open well. I don't know why. It creates a borewell, giving you almost saline water everywhere. And therefore, the focus is now shifted from individuals to builders. We'll have to create awareness among builders. It's a very, very important thing. And in our Rain Center, we did this. We did about 15 workshops exclusively for architects and builders. Different people have understood harvesting in different ways. I will explain the way we at the Rain Center have understood it. Before that, a few facts about rain and rainwater harvesting. Earth gets water either from melting of ice or rain. In India, it's mostly from rain, barring 2 or 3 states in North India, which also get water from melting of ice. All the other states get it only from rain. And it rains only for a few days in a year. Unless we collect that rain, we'll run out of water for the rest of the year. And this is what harvesting is all about. The key word to sustainable water management is rainwater harvesting. Yeah, as I said earlier, harvesting is not an option, nor an alternative, nor something which has been discovered recently. But the only way to sustain both our surface and subsoil water. And Indians were the world leaders in rainwater harvesting. As I said earlier, 5,000 years of history we have. 3000 BC, our ancestors had understood it very clearly. Every part of India had its traditional water harvesting systems. Indians knew that food security can be achieved by harvesting paddy or wheat, and water security by harvesting rain. These are some of the structures in Rajasthan. Rajasthan is a very good example of traditional water harvesting, because they get very little rain and they wanted to harvest every drop of it. People like Rajendra Singh, has almost devoted his life to this. They had talabs, different structures, and these are the jowheads in which Rajendra Singh was deeply involved. He revived several of them and almost brought back a dead river. These are step wells. How beautifully they have designed it. That shows the importance they gave for water. Yeah, I will briefly mention the traditional harvesting system that exists even now in South India. It's also found in Sri Lanka since 2nd century AD. Yeah, this is called the Eri system. This is a Tamil word. The same system we find in Andhra, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu. In Andhra Pradesh, it's called Cheru, and in Karnataka, it's called Kere, which are a chain of tanks. Even today, there are about 150,000 such tanks in the 3 states put together, of which Andhra Pradesh has the maximum of close to 70,000. The remaining 2 states, each 40,000. And most of them are interconnected. This is a drawing of an area. You have the water spread area. And this is the ayakat or the paddy fields. And these dark spots are called sluices, which are doors opened every day in the morning and for allowing water to flow to the paddy fields, and closed in the evening. And this is a very important point. This is called the overflow, where when the area gets filled up, it overflows only from that point. And it goes and fills up the neighboring villages area. and so on. Such a wonderful system conceived even about 2000 years back. And in areas, there are two different types of areas. One is called the system areas, where river water flowing in the river is diverted to these areas on both sides of the river. So that water falling into the sea is minimized. Almost every drop is harvested. And we had these systems in all the South Indian rivers. Tamarabharani, Vaigai, even Palar had a few system tanks. Kaveri Pakam and Mamandur and so on. We also had non-system areas which did not have a river, but it had its own catchment. Of course, they were all interconnected. These area systems are explained in detail in a book which we have published called The Area Systems of South India. Yeah. And about the traditional water harvesting systems, one should definitely read the book Dying Wisdom, published by Center for Science and Environment, New Delhi. I don't know whether copies are available now. If you get hold of one, you should definitely read it. It's almost a Bible for traditional water harvesting systems in India. Yeah. So coming to harvesting, there are only two things you can do with rainwater. Either you collect it for immediate use in a plastic tank or a masonry tank, or even the irrigation tank at the macro level, or use it to recharge the groundwater source in order to sustain it. So these are the only two things you can do with rainwater. So you choose the right option. It is relevant in both villages as well as in cities, at the macro level as well as at the micro level. Even in public spaces, it has to be done. In private spaces, it has to be done. Where is harvesting relevant? Everywhere. In both villages and cities. Harvesting in rural areas is mostly traditional, created several centuries back, whereas RWH, rainwater harvesting in urban areas, is relatively new since it is urban areas are all built up. So what is the need for harvesting? Why should I harvest rain? As I said earlier, rain is the predominant source of fresh water on earth, and cities are not rain starved. You get enough rain to harvest. You cannot say the same thing about countries in the Middle East. We get plenty of rain. Kerala, for example, a lot of rain. And Tamil Nadu's average is in fact much more than the country's average. And it rains only for a few days in a year. And unless you capture the rain that is falling in those few days, you will run without water. And in coastal cities like Chennai, what is not harvested runs off to the sea and gets wasted. Yeah. So rainwater harvesting is the responsibility of both the society and state. The role of the society is to harvest the rain that is falling on rooftops as well as all around the built-up area. This is called the driveway runoff. Ensure not a drop goes to the sewer, not to the street. This is what the society should ensure. Rain falling on the roof can be collected in a sump through what is called a first flush. This first flush arrangement is something like a filter. Till rain falls on the roof, it is clean. Once it falls on the roof, it picks up the dirt found on the roof and comes down. So that will have to be filtered. So that can be done through a first flush arrangement. Yeah, this is the first flush arrangement we have at the rain center. The pipe on the left is a dummy pipe which is closed at the bottom, because it's the first rain which will bring down all the dirt. And that is captured in this dummy pipe. So it gets filled up to this junction and then starts overflowing to this pipe. And then it is diverted to a huge sump at the rain center. We have a 50,000 liter sump at the rain center. So we are capturing a lot of rooftop water in that sump. If you do not want to collect rainwater in a sump, then the other option is to put it into the soil for sustaining the groundwater source through properly designed recharge wells. Our important structure is a recharge well. Now, these are recharge wells. These are made out of cement rings. They are readily available in the market. Diameters vary from 3 to 6 feet, and the depth is 15 feet. All of them are 15 feet deep. The diameter varies depending on the quantity of rain that you are planning to harvest. And should be left empty. You should not fill it up with anything, as Shivakumar was showing the other day. And the outside will have to be packed. Normally we do it with the excavated soil. So this is a picture of a recharge well being made. Another picture of recharge well. Yeah. And this is called a recharge pit or a percolation pit. This is a wrong structure. But this was very popular in 2002 and 2003. The problem with this is they make a borehole and insert a slotted PVC pipe. This is the PVC pipe that is inserted, and they have some filter material on top. But the point is, once the pipe gets clogged, it will happen after a year or two. Not a drop will get harvested. The chamber itself will start overflowing. That is an indication that nothing is getting harvested. So this is a wrong structure, and we don't recommend this at all. Now, what do you do with the rain that is falling all around your built-up area? It is called the driveway runoff. This invariably goes to the street through the gates. And so we intercept it near the gate and harvest it. And this is fit only for recharge. You cannot divert this water into a sump. Rain that falls all around the built-up area runs out to the street, can be intercepted near the gate by a gutter arrangement, injected into a recharge well. Now this is the gutter arrangement. This is the gutter, and this is the driveway. The rain falling here will flow towards these gutters, and then you can see a recharge well on the left. So this gutter is covered with a perforated RCC lid, so that even vehicles can go on top of them. Strong enough. And this is the gutter arrangement at the rain center. This is the gutter arrangement, and the recharge well is at the back. And this is how a gutter will look like if you open it. It has to be cleaned at least once a year. Yeah. What did the state do in the past to promote and popularize rainwater harvesting in Tamil Nadu? See, our Honorable CM was passionate about water, as I said earlier. And Tamil Nadu and Chennai were the role models for rainwater harvesting in the entire country. Both Sri Lanka and Delhi wanted to replicate our model. And Tamil Nadu is the first state in the entire country to make harvesting compulsory in all buildings, old and new. Law came into effect in October 2002 and completed in, people are given almost a year to get it implemented in their respective homes. Yeah. So what happened after that law? As I said, 2003 was the deadline, whereas 2003 and 4 monsoons were bad, so far as Chennai is concerned. Whereas in 2005, you may all remember, it was a record rainfall. Instead of 1.3 or 1.4, which is our average annual rainfall, that year it was 2.5, almost double. So that really proved the success of rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting does not require a proof, but anyway. What can rainwater harvesting do to a city? It can increase the groundwater levels, can improve its quality, and make us less dependent on municipal supply. And this happened in Chennai. As I told you, the groundwater levels went up by 6 meters. We did a survey January 2006. Found out that water levels had gone up by 20 feet minimum. Temple tanks, we have 39 temple tanks in Chennai. They were almost dry. See, this is a temple tank in Mylapore. And you can see children playing cricket inside the temple tank. So this was being used as a playground. These temple tanks are something like the step wells of North India. Unless the groundwater level goes up, you will never be able to see water in the temple tank. And this is what happened. The same Mylapore tank in January 2006 looked like this. Since then, for about 10 years, it remained so. Yeah, what is the role of the state in future? They should make sincere attempts to harvest the urban runoff, the rain that is falling on the roads, and recover the water bodies in the extended area of Chennai. You can still see a lot of water bodies when you drive on the Thorapakam Krompet road. Several of them, Narayanapuram, Kovilambakam, and so on. They are all being abused. A lot of encroachment taking place, and liquid waste, solid waste is being dumped. And another suggestion is there are close to 3,000 areas in both Tiruvallur and Kanchipuram districts which can be revived, recovered, and rejuvenated, and that can take care of Chennai's water problem. Because they have lost their agricultural relevance. I'm not stealing water from the farmer. People are no longer doing agriculture there.
Sir, we
that
have
can be.
Sir.
Pardon?
5 more minutes.
Okay. Yeah. So to harvest the rain that is falling on the roads, you can dig recharge wells on the roads, which we were able to do both with the help of the corporation as well as with some individuals. These are recharge wells on the road. And if you have a stormwater drain already constructed, then this is the way you harvest it. And we dug a recharge well on the road inside a drain. Yeah, we have brought out the importance of open wells. People have simply forgotten the importance of open wells. See, we should understand that our groundwater is available in 2 discontinuous layers, separated by hard rock. There is one layer above hard rock and one layer within hard rock. So it's the shallow layer, which is the sustainable layer. With all our rainwater harvesting, that can be sustained, but not the deep layer. People are harvesting rain, but not tapping it. They are putting money in one bank and drawing it from some other bank, or trying to draw from some other bank. So we are trying to create this awareness among the residents of Chennai. An open well is a sustainable groundwater source. You can see the area water and the water in the well will be almost the same. Yeah, these are case studies in MRC Nagar. This is another case study in Virugambakam, where we helped them dig a well and they are now comfortable. And what I've been doing, we have been conducting workshops, as I told you earlier, for builders, architects, And one such workshop was inaugurated by Madam Sheila Nair. We organized workshops for municipal engineers from Meghalaya. That is the capital of Varuna. I'll just run through my slides. And another group from Osmanabad, Maharashtra. We carried out an audit for CMDA. Published a report. So our findings have been now brought into the building rules. Our recommendations have been included in the Tamil Nadu Combined Development and Building Rules 2019. This is the book. We also do CSR work. We choose charitable institutions in the city and implement harvesting there, which is funded by corporates. Yeah, so I'll just finish it in 2 minutes. See, I want rain centers to be set up in all metro cities. The rain center will bridge the gap between society and harvesting. So rain centers are very, very important. And all state governments should be requested to mandate rainwater harvesting for both old and new buildings. Stormwater drains should not let the water into the sea, but let to water bodies. So from now on, the slogan will have to be extended, making not only water, but also rainwater harvesting everybody's business. And no more lip service to water. Water and rain will be understood beyond words. Water management should no longer be just a bureaucratic exercise, nor an academic exercise. It should be a people's movement. Love water and rain the way we love our children. That's all, sir. Just a few slides.
Thank you, Mr. Shekhar Raghavan, for the
Catch rain, it's free. Thank you.
For the energetic presentation once again, sir.
Thank you.
Been associating with you for a very long time, and you are presenting with the same energy once we met around 15-20 years back. We are still learning from you as an individual, as a practitioner of rainwater harvesting and a teacher. Thank you for your excellent insights once again, making us think that we have to do a lot of things to do something like what you have done. We have the presence of Mrs. Shanta Sheila Nair on this call as a panelist.
I would like to say just a word about her. She was the real pillar behind all the success. Madam Jayalalitha and Madam Sheila Nair were the real pillars.
And we are very fortunate to have her in this panel today. She is with us in this panel right now. And we have requested her to share her thoughts tomorrow in the same time on policy and good governance, how this will be effectively required for doing a better rainwater harvesting system in the state of Tamil Nadu and all over the country. And one important question which I got in the Q&A box today is to Mr. Shekhar Raghavan in terms of what all challenges you faced before such a notification in 2003 in making people realize this kind of importance of rainwater.
Yeah, the main challenge is to educate the educated.
Okay.
I was handling an urban crowd who were all educated and they thought they knew everything. So they will not even allow me inside their apartment complex. They will instruct the watchman to send me out. This went on like this for 3 years. So it is this apathy of the urban residents. I'm sorry to say this, I'm myself one. But unless you are sensitive about what is happening around you, you'll never be able to promote a social cause or an environmental cause. That was the main challenge that I faced, and the support came from the media. Print media supported me to a very large extent, and so that was my main challenge.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Nair, would you like to respond on this?
Nice to Shekhar Rajan and all of you. Thank you for the wonderful presentation, Shekhar, which I know by heart by now, and also what I'm going to say heard. So there is no duality between the two of us I think the subject of rainwater harvesting. Now, I am speaking tomorrow, and I will be taking the larger issue of water harvesting policy. So I wouldn't like to talk about I am going to tomorrow. I just wanted to tell Shekhar that along with all the other things that he's doing, he should now try to clone rain centers. He should be consultant for setting up new rain centers. How to set up rain center? That also we need to tell people what are the ingredients of a rain center, what are the models that you will keep, what are the information that you will make available. You should become an authority for all rain centers and promote rain centers. So I will also try to help wherever I can. So this is a suggestion I want to give to Shekhar because he has so successfully run a rain center without any formal help from anybody. He is able to obtain resources from many sources and keep it going. You should identify in each district somebody who's interested in water harvesting. There are many NGOs, of course, and put up a rain center in each district. We did this in 2003 in each collectorate. We put a rain center, but that have gone disused by now. It is the hands of an NGO or some activist organization, then it can be kept alive. So that will be local information and local knowledge, because in each area we need area-specific information and area-specific puts on the kind of structures that are to be put up and what will work and what will not work, and also a documentation of the success stories in each area, so that in each ward or zone of the municipality or panchayat or corporation, there are at least one or two examples which people can see besides the rain center. This should be our effort, so that nothing helps like one citizen talk to another more than what government say or what we can say through the rain center. If one householder says that I have put it up like this and this is what I have done and this is what I have fitted, that will carry a lot more conviction and all the pamphlets and all the IEC material that we produce. So we should identify models in each area and have radius within which they will assist that area in terms of knowledge and information and technical skills. So this is what I would like to suggest to Shekhar, and I'll stop with that now.
Thank you, Mrs. Nair, for your suggestions and comments. We look forward to your talk tomorrow at around 5:30 p.m. We will again get back to you on the connections and so on. But before proceeding to Professor Pradeep, I have a few questions on behalf of the participants to Mr. Shekhar Raghavan. Some people asked, roadside rainwater harvesting, how is the contamination avoided or eliminated while doing roadside rainwater harvesting?
But this contamination is a very, very loose word. People don't realize what kind of contamination would be there. But whatever it is, when water moves through soil, harvested water will move through soil to reach your source. By that time, it definitely gets filtered. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And see, and we are only harvesting rainwater. Only if you put a recharge well inside a stormwater drain, it's dangerous. The stormwater drains may carry sewage, but we just put it outside the drain. And therefore, there are not much contamination will be there. So it's only the rainwater that is flowing and that can be harvested, and we have done it. And we are also monitoring wherever we do recharge wells on the road, we monitor the bore wells and open wells in the neighborhood just to see whether is there any contamination or any problem.
One of my colleagues, Umang Khanna, wanted to ask, he's from Meerut, and he joined us in the last year. And he says, in 2019, why we felt, felt this crisis. So even though we did a lot of rainwater harvesting systems and other things, why we faced a crisis in 2019? That was his question.
Yeah. See, however much rainwater harvesting you do, it should rain, right? Whereas in 2018, the monsoon failed.
Okay.
It was 0.86 meter as against 1.3.
Okay.
So that is why we knew much before the drought came, we knew Chennai is going to face a water crisis. That happened. It's because of that less rainfall. For example, I have an open well in my apartment. It's about 30-year-old apartment. It had never gone dry. Whereas in 2019, it went dry for the first time. That's because, see, development is taking place all over. People are drawing more groundwater. And not much recharge is taking place. For example, sorry to say this, the stormwater drains that are constructed by the GCC, they simply dump it into the sea. Large volumes of rainwater falling on roads is dumped into the sea. So now people are turning against that. In fact, I would like to mention Mr. Nataraj, Mylapore MLA, who funded a lot of recharge well projects on the roads. So such things should be popularized more and more, so that the aquifers are filled up with the rainwater.
Thank you, sir. Professor Pradeep, any questions from your side?
Well, yesterday I was talking about the need to celebrate heroes. And here, unsung heroes especially. Today, we have a great hero who should be celebrated. And that is what his message has to be taken to more people. As Ms. Shanta Sheila Nair was saying, we should create more rain centers. This is in a way to complement the efforts of Dr. Shekhar Raghavan. And this is one way, by celebrating such people across the country, we are also creating awareness. Today's lecture, the most important thing that came to me was awareness. And that is a key issue. And if at all rainwater harvesting be successful, that is through community awareness. That's a very important statement that he has brought out. And that will happen by many measures. One of them is rain centers and education, talking to people. Of course, they might even throw you out of your their apartment building. So all of these have to come in, and all of these came out very passionately from his talk. But let me ask you one thing, and what is your thought on this? The word harvesting, we say, harvesting has a motive. I harvest for my consumption. Harvesting is related to consumption. And you can always, in a European definition, harvesting is actually killing, for your prey. You essentially harvest something for your personal benefit. We need to create an awareness that harvesting is probably, it is in the context of crops, it's a context of hunting economy, hunting society. Harvesting was different. Today, we are talking about something that we are collecting for social good. Everybody thinks that I harvest my little thing, I harvest for me. Harvesting has to be promoted differently. We may have to reinvent words. We may have to take things differently to people. And that kind of a wisdom has to be reflected in the activity that we do. How would you react to this? Although I am at 5:56, let me pose this question to you, because I have no one else to ask with these so many years of wisdom.
You're asking me?
Yes, of course.
No, you have said it. There's nothing more to add. Wonderful. So this kind of thought will have to come in more and more. See, for example, about Madam Ilanayar's comment that I should help set up rain centers. In Colombo, they invited us and took our advice, and we were able to set up a rain center in Colombo. And Kejriwal, 3-4 years back, invited us to Delhi and said he took only 2 things from Chennai. One was rainwater harvesting and the other was Amma canteen. He wanted to implement both in Delhi, and we were there for about a year. And in Delhi Jal Board, we set up a rain center. So such things will have to be replicated in more places. And as you say, awareness is the key word. In fact, 25 years is not sufficient to create awareness. I can tell you that. It will have to be done almost on a day-to-day basis. And awareness is the key word. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shekhar. Professor, any more questions from your side?
Well, we are at 5:57. Let me ask you only one more little thing. Everybody is talking about replicating in different places. It also came out very clearly from your presentation that replication has to take the regional issues, the sensitivities into consideration. So if you were to think about replicating this, your model in different parts of the country, especially Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Rajasthan, we brought in issues or sort of case studies of Rajasthan, but cases in Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh may be different. Have you thought about mechanisms of implementing this across different parts of the country where the social systems are different? The community engagement is different. What would be your take? And there is a question related to that from one of our participants. Dr. Shekhar Raghu.
Yeah. It has to be a joint effort. I'm 73 years old already. So my focus was only to help people of Chennai to become self-sufficient in water. As they say, think globally, act locally. I've been focusing mostly on Chennai, and it was Chennai which got the support of the state, which was very, very important. In fact, I told Kejriwal that you need political will to want to promote harvesting. He said it is there to take it. That kind of political will is very, very important. And another important lesson that I learned was grassroots level working is probably the best way to create awareness. There's no point presenting papers in seminars. There's no point presenting papers in conferences. There's no use. I should not say no use. This has a better impact. Going and tapping everybody's house and saying, even if you're thrown out, we should definitely do that. Grassroots level working. If you want me to say how I succeeded to some extent, at least, it was grassroots level work. I didn't, when I was thrown out, I never felt, I'm a PhD, I'm being thrown out. No, not at all. I repeatedly went back to the same apartment. And it was Adyar Times, the local neighborhood newspaper, which first helped me. They wrote a guest column putting my photograph. I said, why don't you allow this guy into your house? Why don't you listen to him? That created an impact. Then people started calling me and so on. So grassroots level working is very, very important. NGOs, more and more NGOs should get into it. And as I said earlier, this should not be just a bureaucratic exercise nor an academic one. It should go to the people.
Thank you, Mr. Shekhar. So we have come to the end of today's session. As usual, we thank you, sir, for all your support which you have been providing us on this aspect of rainwater harvesting as a subject towards sustainability, and sustainability happens through rainwater harvesting, as you have been explaining. So we have been getting a lot of questions, but yet time constraint is a major factor. And
one suggestion, can
yes,
you put these questions into an email and then probably send it to me? I'll
we
be
will,
able to respond.
We will, sir. We will
Let us not
very
ignore
happy
that.
to do that. We will be very happy to do that. Thank you, Mrs. Nair, for your presence today, and we request you to join us tomorrow also on this session. Currently, we are also having the pleasure of Dr. Indukant Ragade also on this participants who's been actively participating in our sessions. So we would again probably take it up tomorrow when he's going to join us, if we can share some thoughts and so on. But right now, I would hand it over to Dr. Ramya Dwivedi to do the concluding of this session and announce the session for tomorrow. Thank you.
Dr. Shivakumar, we have Mr. Shivakumar and Dr. Sharavanan also joining us on the panel.
Yes, yes. They have been, from the day one, they have been with us. Mr. Shivakumar, Dr. Sharavanan from Anna University, both have been very kind enough to join us and share their perspectives. And we have tomorrow Dr. Sharavanan also, and we have Jagat Singh Chaudhary also from Dehradun, from Uttarakhand, who has been with us. And tomorrow he will be with us again to share his perspectives. Now over to Dr. Ramya. Unmute, please. Unmute.
Sorry. Thank you, Shripati, and thank you, Shekhar Raghavan sir, for all your advice and sharing your rich experiences. So takeaways, I believe, in addition to training people, let's have more rain centers to bridge the gaps between society and rainwater harvesting, and educate the educated. So these are few takeaways we have from him. Always we hear him. Decades of hard work that have been put up by our speakers. We have been listening in the past few days. Decades of hard work. The least that we can do is create awareness and act in any possible way that we can do. Spread the message among our peers, neighbors, and children. And ICCW is coming up with larger plans, and we look forward to your support and engagement. And now for tomorrow's session, we are hosting the last webinar of the rainwater harvesting series tomorrow. The volley of questions, interesting questions, will be addressed by our experts in this field. We will intimate or communicate all of that to you. And for tomorrow's lecture, we have three people: an academician, a policymaker, and a special guest amongst us. Dr. R. Saravanan, an associate professor in civil engineering at the Center for Water Resources in Anna University, will be our first speaker. He's an engineer and a PhD covering subjects such as civil engineering, groundwater remediation modeling, hydrology, and water resources engineering. We'll hear and learn from him. We also have Madam Shanta Shila Nair. You've met her today, you've heard her. She requires no introduction. People involved in rainwater harvesting have known her for many decades, and thanks to her governance and implementing it for the first time in Tamil Nadu, along with the support of then Chief Minister, Madam Jayalalitha. Among the many hats Dr. Shanta Shila Nair wore, she is best known as a water champion, an IAS officer of 1973 batch. Madam is an administrator par excellence. ICCW is happy that Madam has been associated with us and has been extending her support anytime. And I would also like to let you on in our celebration for the World Environment Day. The theme is Time for Nature, with a focus on its role in providing the essential infrastructure that supports life on Earth and human development. Our special guest, Shri Jagat Singh Chaudhary, is one of those who have invested their time, energy, and life for nature. Also known as the Green Ambassador of Uttarakhand, he is fondly called as jungly by his people. Motivated by the women in his region because of their hardships, he decided to serve nature, which will enable better lives for all. We're immensely happy to have him around with us for tomorrow. Please join us, same time, same link. Thank you.
One request, madam.
Yes.
You can
Yes, sir.
share my power. You can share my presentation with all the participants. I have no
Thank
objection.
you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And I'll also email you the questions.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. We'll meet tomorrow at same time, 5 p.m.